Robin, it's been 3 years since we last spoke. It's your older sister here. I bet you've been feeling down ever since I stole your husband, right? But cheer up. I've got some good news for you, so don't hesitate to keep reading this message. Hello? Goodbye. Hey, I said I've got good news. Listen to me. I'm getting married to a rich boyfriend, so I'll be returning your ex-husband to you. He said he's ready to remarry you, so take him back with open arms, okay? What kind of misunderstanding are we dealing with this time? Huh? What misunderstanding? What part of what I said is a misunderstanding? I'm just letting you know I don't need your ex-husband anymore, so I'm giving him back to you. Ex-husband? I never got divorced in the first place. Wait, what? I got married 4 years ago, and my husband and I haven't had any major arguments. We're getting along well, and we even have a 2-year-old child now. What? You're the one who's got things all wrong. Your ex-husband fell in love with me, and we ran away together. That's why he's been living with me for the past 3 years. There's no way I could be mistaken about that. It's the undeniable truth. Well, it's true that you've been living with someone you believe to be my ex-husband. That much is a fact. Right? But here's the thing. The man you think is my ex-husband isn't my husband at all. He's someone completely different. Wait, what? 3 years ago, when you sent me that weird message saying, I'm taking your husband, and then disappeared, my husband and I were actually on a vacation at a resort. To get more specific, at the exact moment your message came through, my husband and I were strolling hand in hand through a beautiful resort town. What? Ever since then, my husband and I have been living together as usual with no problems in our marriage. So the man you think is my husband has to be someone else entirely. What the heck? Well, if that's the case, you should have contacted me right away. The fact that you didn't means you're lying to cover up the pain of having your husband stolen from you. Didn't you have me blocked until just recently? Of course I did send a message to correct you, but it was never marked as read. What? You're kidding, right? Robin! Hey, what the hell is going on here? Why on earth am I getting served with a demand for compensation? You better explain this to me right now. Why are you even calling me about this? Because you said I didn't actually steal your husband, right? There's no reason for me to be hit with a compensation claim if that's the case. By the sound of it, I'm guessing you received a certified letter, right? So you do know something about this. I'm not directly involved. I've only heard some of the details, that's all. Well, then explain it to me. You know the name of the person filing the claim, don't you? You should have seen it on the letter. Huh? I take it you didn't even bother to carefully check the details before deciding this was my doing and coming after me. The name listed here, it says Miriam? That's right, it's our cousin, Miriam. What? Why would Miriam? She's the one who used to call me big sister and looked up to me so much. Why would she be the one filing a claim for compensation against me? You seriously can't figure it out? What the hell is this? What's going on? If you read through the document carefully, it's all explained there, but fine, I'll make it clear for you. The Mark you ran off with, the one you had an affair with, is actually Miriam's ex-husband. What? Miriam said the statute of limitations for filing a claim for compensation hasn't expired yet. Apparently, after you and Mark split, he tried asking Miriam to take him back. That attempt to reconcile was what helped her pinpoint your current location. Of course, she flatly refused to get back together with him, though. No way. You're telling me Miriam and Mark were married? You might not have known this, but Mark, Marcus, Miriam, and I all went to the same university. What? Seriously? Yeah, first Marcus and I started dating. At the time, Miriam intentionally had a bit of interest in Marcus, but when she noticed Mark and started interacting with him, they hit it off and began dating. Eventually, after graduating from university, both couples ended up getting married. And here's where it gets interesting. By pure coincidence, the apartments we moved into after getting married were in the same complex, albeit on different floors. The A apartment complex? Exactly. Building 3 of that complex, though Marcus and I have since moved out. Wait, what was the apartment number again? Marcus and I were in Unit 305 while Miriam and Mark were in 502. That's it. What do you mean? I saw Marcus near the station and decided to follow him, thinking it was the perfect chance to figure out where you were living. The place I ended up following him to was Unit 502. Ah, so you thought you were tailing Marcus, but in reality you were following Mark instead. Now that I think about it, even though I knew your husband's name was Marcus, I guess I convinced myself otherwise while I was getting involved with Mark. Ah, well, sounds like you rewrote your own memories to fit your narrative. Jessie, you have a knack for believing whatever suits you best, don't you? That's not... You totally did, didn't you? Come on, admit it. Fine, whatever. If it's compensation, my rich boyfriend will pay for it anyway. Help me, I don't have any money. Robin, pick up! If this is about money, I'm not lending you any. I haven't even said anything yet. Well, you just said you don't have money, so it's pretty obvious where this conversation is going. Did I hit the nail on the head? Fine. Can you just lend me some money, please? I already told you, no. Weren't you just boasting about how your rich boyfriend would handle everything? He dumped me! Said there's no way he'd marry a homewrecker who's also a two-timing cheat. Oh, so he found out about your past behavior? Yeah, his parents had me investigated when he mentioned me to them. Ah, well that makes sense. When a family has money, they have to be careful about people who might target their assets. Especially when it comes to marriage, they're bound to be extra cautious. This isn't the time for you to be analyzing their reasoning. What am I supposed to do now? Figure it out on your own. You're my sister. You're supposed to help me when I'm in trouble. Don't pull the sister card only when it's convenient for you. You got yourself into this mess by going after someone you thought was my husband. Sure, your mistakes didn't directly harm me, but Miriam ended up being the real victim in all of this. Why should I lift a finger to help someone who's done nothing but cause problems? I can't believe this. Oh, and by the way, don't even think about turning to Mom and Dad for help. What? They were furious about what you did 3 years ago. Your little escapade ruined their relationship with Uncle and Aunt, the parents of Miriam. At this point, they barely tolerate the fact that I still keep in touch with Miriam. No way! That's how bad it got. In fact, Mom and Dad wanted me to tell you something. They don't consider you their daughter anymore. They don't want to see your face ever again. And they've officially disowned you. You can't be serious! Oh, I'm completely serious. Also, they've moved, so if you're thinking of showing up at the old house, don't bother. Some strangers are living there now. Nobody's going to help me. What am I supposed to do now? Robin, this is Jessie again. You can't just abandon me like this. You know I made mistakes, but I'm still your sister. Doesn't that mean anything to you? Stop calling me, Jessie. You have burned too many bridges to expect anything from me anymore. I have my own life, and I refuse to let your problems drag me down. Goodbye. Since it seemed like Jessie's messages were going to drag on endlessly with no sign of stopping or any real conclusion in sight, I finally decided that it was time to stop replying altogether. The endless stream of messages was getting more and more overwhelming, and the conversation isn't going anywhere. There was no sense in continuing to engage in a dialogue that seemed to be going in circles, especially when I felt like my responses weren't really making a difference. I had hoped that at some point things would calm down and she would figure it out on her own, but it was becoming increasingly clear that the situation was more complicated than I had initially thought. I had always been there for Jessie, or at least I thought I had been. We had been friends for a long time, and I'd seen her go through her fair share of ups and downs. She was the type of person who would always get herself into some kind of mess, yet somehow managed to get out of it with little more than a scratch. But this time, it felt different. This time, there was a sense of helplessness, a feeling that things were spiraling beyond her control. I didn't know how to help her anymore, especially when it seemed like nothing I said was having any real impact. She was determined to make her own choices, for better or worse, and maybe the best thing I could do for her was give her the space to figure things out on her own. So in a moment of frustration, I made the decision to stop responding and just leave her messages unread. It wasn't a decision I made lightly, and it carried with it a sense of guilt that I couldn't shake. I had always been the one to listen, to offer advice when she needed it, and to try to steer her in the right direction. But now, I wasn't sure if anything I said would make a difference. It was as though Jessie was caught up in a whirlwind of emotions and confusions that I couldn't untangle. She seemed to be stuck in a cycle of decisions that weren't leading her anywhere good, and I wasn't sure how much more I could help her when it felt like I was just another voice in the noise. Maybe, I thought, she just needed space to process everything and figure things out on her own. But as I would soon find out, leaving her on read didn't mean the end of the conversation. In the days that followed, Jessie's messages continued to flood my phone, each one seemingly more urgent and frantic than the last. It was as if she couldn't stop herself from updating me about her every move, every thought, and every new twist in the strange and chaotic story of her life. Even though I had stopped responding, it seemed like she was still looking for someone, anyone, to witness her drama, her frustrations, and her triumphs, no matter how small they seemed. The more I read, the more I began to feel like I was watching her unravel bit by bit. It wasn't just about the things she was saying anymore, it was about the way she was saying them. Her messages were no longer full of excitement and optimism about her new life in New York City. Instead, they became desperate, confused, and full of regret. Jessie, the girl that had once been so confident and fearless, was now showing a side of herself that was vulnerable and uncertain. She was trying to hold it together, but it was becoming increasingly difficult. At first, her messages had seemed harmless enough. She was just telling me about her new adventure in the city, her excitement about leaving her small hometown behind, and the promises of new opportunities and experiences. Jessie had always been the type to embrace change, to chase after something bigger and better, and she was convinced that New York City was the answer to all of her problems. It was supposed to be the fresh start she had been waiting for, the place where she could reinvent herself and leave everything behind. But as the days went by, it became clear that New York wasn't the dreamland she had imagined. New York City boyfriend is sending me money. Nobody in my hometown is willing to help me. I remember reading this message and feeling a mix of concern and disbelief. Jessie had always been good at finding people to lean on, but I had never heard her speak so bluntly about her situation. She seemed to be bragging about the money she was receiving from this boyfriend she had met online, but something about the message didn't sit right with me. It felt like she was depending on this stranger in a way that seemed dangerous and reckless, as though she was putting all her faith in someone she barely knew just because he was offering her financial support. The fact that she was so quick to turn to this guy for help instead of trying to rely on herself made me uneasy. It also made me think about the larger picture. Jessie had always been the type to expect people to come to her rescue to offer help when she needed it. It was a pattern that I had noticed over the years, and it was clear that this situation wasn't an isolated incident. There had been countless times in the past when Jessie had found herself in trouble and expected others to bail her out. But now, it seemed like she was trying to solve her problems by relying on someone who was, for all intents and purposes, a complete stranger. It was a risky move, one that I didn't think she fully understood. But that was just the beginning. As Jessie continued to update me, her tone began to shift. What had started as excitement about her new life in New York City quickly turned into frustration and confusion. She had gone from feeling like she was on top of the world to feeling completely alone and betrayed. Guys in New York City are so cold. As soon as I went out of my way to meet him, he completely ghosted me. Reading this, I couldn't help but feel sorry for her. Jessie had been so excited to meet this guy, convinced that he was going to be the one to make her feel welcome in the city, to show her the ropes and help her navigate this new chapter of her life. But instead, he had completely shut her out. It wasn't just that he didn't respond to her messages or calls, it was that he had gone silent entirely. She had gone out of her way to meet him, and in return, he had disappeared. It wasn't just a rejection, it felt like an abandonment. Jessie had invested so much hope and energy into this person, and to have him completely shut her out was a blow she wasn't prepared for. I could tell that Jessie was hurt, but rather than sitting with her feelings, she quickly tried to brush it off and move on to the next thing. "I've already found a new guy. Typical me, right?" It was clear that she wasn't letting herself fully process what had happened. Instead of confronting the feelings of disappointment and hurt, she was throwing herself into the next thing that came along. This new guy, this new relationship, was her way of trying to fill the void left by the first. But even as she typed those words, I could tell that she wasn't fully convinced by the new situation. She was trying to convince herself that everything was fine, that she could handle it, but deep down, I knew that she was just running from the pain of being hurt. She wasn't facing her feelings, she was covering them up with the distraction of a new relationship. And it wasn't long before that relationship began to show its own cracks. My new boyfriend lent me some money, but something feels off about him. This was when I began to get really concerned. Jessie had been so confident earlier, so quick to jump into a new relationship, but now she was expressing doubt. She didn't explain what exactly felt off about him, but it was clear that something was wrong. Her intuition was telling her that she was getting herself into another dangerous situation, but she wasn't sure how to get out of it. I could almost feel her internal struggle as she tried to justify her actions while simultaneously realizing that she had made yet another mistake. What should I do? He told me I need to earn money here, and then he took me to this really shady place. The words hit me like a punch to the gut. I could sense the panic in her message, the fear that had crept in as she realized she was in over her head. What kind of place was she talking about? What did this guy want from her? Why had she ended up in a situation where she was being asked to earn money in a shady place? It was all too much, and I couldn't help but wonder how she had gotten here. How had she gone from being a girl with dreams of a fresh start in New York to someone caught in the dangerous situation like this? This is so bad. Her brief, desperate message left no room for doubt. Jessie knew that she was in trouble, but she didn't know how to escape. It was clear that she was stuck, unsure of what to do or who to turn to. She had gone down this path before, but this time it felt different. The stakes were higher, and there was no safety net. Please help me. That was the last message I received from her. I sat there for a long time after reading it, the weight of her words sinking in. I couldn't help but feel a deep sense of worry for her. She'd gotten herself tangled up in a situation that was beyond her control. And now she was reaching out for help, but there was nothing I could do. It was a helpless feeling, one that I had experienced before, but never to this extent. Jessie had always been the type to get herself into trouble, but this time it felt like she was in over her head. She had gone too far, and there was no easy way out. For a long time, I kept wondering if I should respond, if I should reach out and offer her the help she so desperately needed. But in the end, I couldn't bring myself to do it. I wasn't sure what I could say to make any difference. Maybe she needed to face the consequences of her actions, to experience the fallout before she could start making better choices. Maybe she needed to hit rock bottom before she could start climbing up. So I didn't respond. Instead, I sat in silence, hoping that Jessie would find a way out of the mess she had made. I wasn't sure if she would, but I couldn't be the one to fix everything for her anymore. She had to figure it out on her own, no matter how much it hurt to watch her struggle. Thank you for watching and listening. We hope you enjoyed the video. Don't forget to like this video and subscribe. Also, feel free to leave a comment about what you thought of the story. We look forward to seeing you at the next story.
Thank you for watching. Please subscribe and hit the like button. See you next time.
I brought back my 27-year-old girlfriend and our 6-year-old daughter from the place I had been stationed alone for work. Destiny, you're no longer needed. Sign the divorce papers and get out. Take our son with you, too.
Is that so? Have you already prepared the divorce papers?
Yeah, I'll put them in the mailbox tomorrow. I've already filled out my part, so I want you to submit them to the municipal office as soon as possible.
I see. Well, since you've gone to the trouble, I'll accept them. But I won't be submitting anything until I've confirmed that alimony and child support have been deposited into my account.
What? Huh?
What's the problem?
It's just, your response is unusually calm. I was expecting something more like panic or outrage.
Oh, is that what you were hoping for?
Well, I mean, normally I don't think anyone would be composed in this situation.
That's probably because I've known about your affair for quite some time.
What?
You've been having an affair during the 8 years you were stationed away, and you even had a child with the other woman, didn't you? At first, you were supposed to return after 3 years, but you kept finding excuses to extend your stay. In reality, it was because you had a child with her, wasn't it? You couldn't come back here because of that. And now, after all these years, you finally decided to return because as your child with her grew older, it became harder to keep it a secret. The timing coincided with our son Jake turning 18 and becoming an adult. Isn't that the truth?
You knew all of that? This is actually terrifying!
Oh, please. Do you know who first noticed your affair? It was Jake.
What?
It was around this time last year Jake was in Houston for a sports tournament.
Houston?
You understand what I'm saying, don't you? You and your mistress, along with your daughter, were also in Houston for a little family trip, weren't you? You played house, pretending to be one big happy family, didn't you? And Jake saw it with his own eyes. It's been almost a year since that incident, so Jake seems to have calmed down a bit, but I won't let you act as if you don't understand how traumatic this has been for him. I also know that right now, you, your mistress, and your daughter are temporarily staying in a weekly rental apartment in the city. I'll be sending you a certified letter there. I've already contacted a lawyer, so you better prepare yourself.
Destiny, I received the certified letter.
The evidence of your affair was included too, wasn't it?
Yeah. I can't believe you managed to dig up so much information. But thanks to that, I've realized something important.
What would that be?
You seem to know an awful lot about my girlfriend and daughter.
Well, of course. Since I'm preparing for a divorce on the grounds of infidelity, I had to thoroughly gather evidence to prove your responsibility.
If you know that much, it means you hired a private investigator or something, right?
That's right. Given the distance to where you were stationed, it was the only practical option.
I knew it! In that case, the investigation fees you used will be deducted from the alimony I owe.
Excuse me?
The money you used for that must have come from what I earned through my work, right? As a stay-at-home wife, you don't have your own income. Since you used my money without permission, it's only fair that you pay me back.
I'm not a stay-at-home wife anymore, though.
What?
Right now, Jake is sitting next to me and reading your messages. He's saying, Dad really doesn't know anything, does he?
What's that supposed to mean?
You remember how Jake sent you a link to an online bookstore the other day?
Yeah, I remember. It was for some novel, right?
That novel is my source of income.
Wait, what? Jake sent me a message telling me to check the author's name, so I went to the online shopping page he mentioned. And there it was! The author's name was your old last name, Destiny!
When Jake entered middle school, I submitted a novel to a competition just for fun. To my surprise, it ended up winning an award. I decided to use my maiden name as a pen name to separate it from my real identity. It was a spur-of-the-moment decision, and I've just continued writing under that name ever since. Thought I'd told you about how it eventually brought in enough royalties to live comfortably. Did I not mention it before?
Wait, seriously?
I'm pretty sure I even handled all the paperwork about our tax and dependency status at the time. Did you forget?
What?
Anyway, that's the situation. So no, I'm not a full-time housewife. And just so you know, the cost of hiring the private investigator, I covered it entirely with my own money. There's no need for you to worry about that.
Oh, I see.
Also, the one who needs to move out of that house is not me, Samson. It's you.
What?
You seem to have forgotten, but this house originally belonged to my parents. When my father passed away 2 years ago, I inherited it. Did you forget about that too?
Now that you mention it, yeah, I remember. But you've got to be kidding me. I thought this house didn't have rent to worry about, so I could bring my girlfriend and daughter here. Where are we supposed to live now? Hey, Destiny! I can kind of understand the alimony. Both my girlfriend and I were already prepared to pay that, but what's the deal with child support?
What do you mean, what's the deal? It's child support for Jake, of course. You're responsible for paying it until he turns 21.
Wait a minute, the legal age of adulthood is 18 now, isn't it? Don't you know that?
Oh, is that what this is about? Of course I know.
Then I shouldn't have any obligation to pay child support anymore, should I?
Wrong.
What?
Child support is typically required until the child turns 21. The change in the age of adulthood to 18 doesn't affect that.
What?
Think about it. The age for drinking and smoking is still 21, right? It's the same principle.
Seriously?
If you're unsure, you can consult your lawyer. Oh, and another thing. I'm guessing you're just reaching out without properly reviewing the certified documents we sent yesterday. But let me remind you, I consulted a legal professional before making these claims for alimony and child support. The chances that we made any errors in the calculations or the claims themselves are extremely low. So instead of bombarding me with questions, maybe you should do your research first. Try to understand my perspective here. It's exhausting having to explain this every time.
Destiny, about Jake's child support. It's only for 2 years, right? Can't you cut me some slack?
What? If it's only 2 years, then pay up properly.
No, it's not like that. Look, I have a daughter now. She's gonna need a lot of money as she grows up.
Let me guess, you're saying you didn't prepare for Jake's child support because you wrongly assumed it wouldn't be required, right? And for the record, the child support isn't for me, it's for Jake. He said if my father can't even fulfill basic parental responsibilities, then I'll make sure to get what's due. So that's his stance on the matter.
What?
I respect Jake's decision on this.
But seriously, I'm strapped for cash and paying it all at once?
Figure it out yourself. I don't trust you.
At least let me pay in monthly installments. Come on!
It's time you stopped making excuses.
What?
If you have questions, ask your lawyer. If you have any requests, communicate them through your lawyer.
Destiny!
I'm not going to block you because of Jake, but as a general rule, I'd prefer all communication to go through my lawyer.
Wait, hold on!
Bye.
Destiny! Destiny, it's me, Samson. Your ex-husband, Samson?
Ugh.
I expected that reaction, but please, just hear me out. This is really important.
What do you want?
I got divorced.
Huh?
My wife, she left me. She just up and left, taken off without a second thought. Said she couldn't see a bright future for our marriage anymore. She even left our daughter behind with me.
Oh, I see. Let me guess. You dumped all the housework and childcare responsibilities on her, didn't you?
What? How did you...
Just a hunch. I figured you hadn't changed, and it looks like I was right.
Oh, man, I knew it. You're the only one who really understands me. Let's get married. You're still living in that house, right? I'll bring my daughter over tonight, and you can become her new mother.
I'm already remarried.
What?
Yes, my husband is a fellow novelist, someone my age. I've also moved out of that house. I live in his apartment now. As for the house you're referring to, Jake and his wife are the ones living there since they got married.
Jake got married? Why didn't anyone tell me?
Jake suggested I wait and surprise you with the news. He's right here next to me, actually.
What?
Jake and his wife are visiting me right now. When Jake heard about you still pestering me, he joked that it's better to come clean about my marriage. He thought keeping it a secret might backfire somehow.
What the hell?
Oh, and one more thing. Don't even think about reaching out to Jake for help. He doesn't see you as his father and would call the police on you in seconds.
The police?
Anyway, I think we're done here. You've said what you needed to say, right? Goodbye.
Wait, hold on. What am I supposed to do? How do I even raise a teenage daughter? I have no idea how to deal with her. Do you have any advice? She's in such a difficult phase right now, and, the house, it's falling apart. I mean, it's a complete mess, and I don't know how to keep up with cleaning and everything. Destiny, please!
Samson's tendency to completely abandon household responsibilities, leaving them all on my shoulders, wasn't something that started after our divorce. It's something that happened consistently throughout our marriage. From the moment we said our vows, it became a pattern, one that would continue throughout our time together. There was never any real effort on his part to share the workload of housework or parenting. It was as if he had no concept of what it meant to be a partner in those respects, and I found myself doing everything. At the time, I thought it was just the way things were supposed to be. I tried to convince myself that I could handle it, but in reality, it drained me to my core. And looking back, it's hard to believe I allowed it to continue for as long as I did. I can still remember how I felt when it was finally decided that my ex-husband would be transferring to a new position on his own. The decision felt like both a relief and a burden being lifted all at once. It was like the weight of the world had been taken off my shoulders, and I was finally going to be free. I distinctly remember thinking, I'm finally going to be free of the big child that I've been living with for so long. It's almost embarrassing to admit that now, but at the time, that thought brought me a sense of clarity. It was the first time in years that I didn't feel as if I was carrying the weight of everything by myself. I felt like I could breathe again. That moment was so important to me because it was the breaking point, the realization that I could no longer continue on that path. I had been overwhelmed for so long, trying to juggle the demands of our marriage, the household, and the kids while feeling utterly alone. I had been living with a man who, no matter how much I gave, would never be able to contribute equally. His inability to understand or care about what I was going through was heartbreaking. The moment he left, I could finally breathe, but it also marked the beginning of the end of our relationship. Fast forward to after our divorce, when he eventually married the woman he had been having an affair with. It was no surprise to me. I had watched him carefully choose this woman during our marriage, and it was clear that he was emotionally invested in her long before we officially parted ways. It was almost as though he was more interested in his own desires than in the well-being of his family. I remember feeling betrayed, not just because of the affair, but because I had invested so much in our relationship, only to see him repeat the same mistakes. It was as if the divorce was just the beginning of a cycle he was doomed to repeat. And as expected, after they married, the same pattern unfolded. Samson once again threw all the household responsibilities onto his new wife, leaving her to handle everything while he continued to live a life of convenience and neglect. It was as though nothing had changed. He had simply moved on from one woman to the next. But the habits he had developed during our marriage had not disappeared. Once again, she found herself doing everything while he sat idly by, as if the burden of daily life was hers to bear. The fact that he could so easily fall back into these old habits made me realize just how little he had learned from the past. It was as if he hadn't taken any of the lessons from our marriage to heart, and it didn't take long before the relationship broke down just as our own had. It was heartbreaking to watch, and now after everything, I couldn't help but feel a sense of vindication. The path he had chosen, the one he had walked so easily, had led him right back to the same place, another divorce, another failed relationship. It was as though he couldn't escape the consequences of his actions, no matter how hard he tried. His inability to grow, to learn from his mistakes, had led him down this very predictable road. And it was almost as if I could see it happening before it even began. Now my ex-husband finds himself in a place where he is completely stuck. He has no idea how to navigate the challenges of life, especially when it comes to his daughter. He's clueless when it comes to raising her, interacting with her, or even understanding the basics of parenting. It's as if he's utterly inequipped for the responsibility, and that's probably the saddest part of all. I had hoped after our divorce that he would step up, that he would realize the importance of being a father, but it seems like he only has grown more disconnected from that role. His relationship with his daughter is strained at best. He doesn't know how to talk to her, how to relate to her, or even how to be there for her when she needs him most. In fact, his daughter's relationship with him has become so fractured that she eventually found herself in a position where she felt compelled to reach out to Child Protective Services. The home he's provided for her has become so unbearable that she had no other choice but to seek help. She could no longer live in a house where neglect was the norm. The stench of the house, the mess, the lack of care, everything about it drove her to seek a way out. Can you imagine being a child in that situation? Feeling that your only option is to go to strangers for help because your own parent can't provide a safe, clean, or nurturing environment? It's heartbreaking, and it speaks volumes about the kind of person Samson has become. But this is where the story takes another turn. Not only is his personal life in shambles, but his professional life has also taken a major hit. He's been removed from the fast track to promotion at work. Once a promising employee, his career is now stagnating. It's almost poetic in a way. His inability to commit, his selfishness, and his lack of accountability have all caught up with him. He betrayed people along the way, and now he's paying the price for it. His lack of effort, both at home and at work, has led him to a point of no return. It's a harsh reminder that actions have consequences, and those consequences can follow you in every part of your life. I can't help but feel a certain sense of validation when I think about all that's happened. It's not like I take pleasure in his downfall, but rather that I've been able to see firsthand how life is a way of delivering consequences. We all make choices, and sometimes those choices come back to hurt us. For Samson, the choices he made, time and time again, have led him to a place of misery and regret. It's a stark reminder that happiness doesn't come from avoiding responsibility or taking the easy way out. At the same time, I can't help but feel a sense of sadness for his daughter. She didn't ask for this. She didn't ask for a father who couldn't care for her, who neglected her emotional needs, and who failed to provide the basics of a stable home. The life she's had to endure is something no child should have to go through. Think about her future, and I worry. Will she be able to overcome the damage that's been done? Will she be able to find a way to move forward, or will she carry the scars of her childhood with her into adulthood? It's a question that haunts me, and I wonder if she will ever truly escape the shadow of her father's neglect. For me, the years of exhaustion, of carrying everything on my own, are behind me. I've moved on, and I've learned so much along the way. I've learned the importance of setting boundaries, of not allowing someone else to shoulder all the responsibility while I bear the weight of everything. I've learned about the importance of recognizing my worth and not settling for anything less than the respect and care I deserve. And while my life isn't perfect, it's mine. I've built a life that is my own, free from the burden of someone else's irresponsibility. As for Samson, he's stuck in the mess he created for himself. He's unable to break free from the patterns that have held him captive for so long. He's trapped in a cycle of poor decisions, unable to see a way out. And as I reflect on his situation, I realize that it's a cautionary tale. It's a story of what happens when we fail to take responsibility for our actions, when we prioritize our own desires over the needs of others, and when we refuse to grow. His life is a reflection of everything he chose, and the consequences have been devastating. He may never fully realize the depth of his mistakes, but his story will always serve as a reminder of the importance of accountability. Looking back at who I was during our marriage, tired, frustrated, and desperate for a change, I realize just how far I've come. I'm no longer the person who quietly suffered under the weight of someone else's neglect. I've claimed my sense of self, and I have found peace in knowing that I am in control of my own life now. Samson's story may be one of failure, but it's also a story of lessons learned, and those lessons will stay with me as I continue to move forward. Thank you for watching and listening. We hope you enjoyed the video. Don't forget to like this video and subscribe. Also, feel free to leave a comment about what you thought of the story. We look forward to seeing you at the next story.
Thank you for watching. Please subscribe and hit the like button. See you next time.
Pete, where are you right now?
Huh? Mom? Why are you texting me right now?
I've got something I need to ask you. Do you have a second to chat?
I'm a little bit busy right now, but what is it?
Seems like you're not home right now. Where are you?
Huh? Did you go to my place? I don't remember you ever saying you'd be making your way over.
I came by to share some things I received as gifts, but when I rang the doorbell, no sound came from inside. I thought you might have gone out, or maybe even turned off the sound because you'd be going out for a while.
Well, that's actually true. Right now, Mary and I are on a little getaway, just the two of us at a hot spring resort. We're even in the mixed bath right now.
I see. A hot spring trip, huh?
Yeah, we decided last minute that we'd take a trip together this weekend. Mary had been wanting to go to this particular hot spring inn, so I booked it. The mixed bathing was the selling point for me.
Well, as long as you two are getting along, that's what matters.
Yeah, but I should probably get going soon. We still need to get to the inn's souvenir shop before it closes. Is that okay?
Yeah, that's fine.
I'll even get you a little something as a souvenir.
Oh, that's sweet of you, thank you. Now, before you go, there's just one more thing.
What is it?
Mary, she's been left in the bathtub at home, but she's still got a broken bone.
What?
She was forced into the bathroom, and when she slipped, she lost her balance and ended up falling into the tub. Of course, I'd already rescued her, and we've called an ambulance. She's been treated at the hospital and is staying there. It's not really an emergency that needs to be reported, since it doesn't seem too serious.
Wait a second. It sounds like you're thinking I did something to her, but that's not the case. Mary's been with me the whole time.
Huh?
I made sure to lock up properly before leaving, and there's no way anyone else, let alone Mary, would be in the house. You think there's some doppelganger impersonating her? And why would she be stuck in the bathtub with a broken bone? What kind of crazy situation is that?
Well, but I rang the doorbell and nobody answered. I heard a loud noise from inside, so I started to worry something had happened. I'm sorry, but I used the spare key I've been keeping, and I went inside.
Wait, you have a spare key?
Yes, we decided a while ago that we'd each keep a spare key to each other's places in case of emergencies. I'm pretty sure I mentioned it to you before.
I don't remember that.
Anyway, when I went inside and looked around, I checked the bathroom, and there was Mary, unconscious in the bathtub, still with water in it and a broken bone.
No, wait. Wait, it's not that strange for us to leave a bathtub filled with water for a short trip like this. But again, I'm telling you, Mary is with me, and this is a picture we took before we got into the hot spring. The hotel staff took it for us.
Wait, is that Mary? Oh, what is going on?
Oh, wait just a second. Mary's saying she thinks that woman might be her twin sister.
Her twin sister? Now that you mention it, I remember Mary talking about that when we visited for the marriage introduction. She said that her parents always favored her twin sister and that after graduating high school, she was practically kicked out of her parents' house. She hasn't been back to visit in almost 10 years.
Ah, so it's kind of like they've been estranged then. I'm not sure why her twin sister would have been at our place, but if there really are two people who look that alike, then maybe Mary's the one getting confused.
So you're saying the person in the hospital now might actually be her sister?
Yeah, the twin's name is Bailey, I think. There's a chance Bailey is either mistaken about what happened or maybe even making up some story.
Well, either way, I hate to ask, but you should cut your trip short and come home. This is your place, and I can't handle all this by myself.
Got it. But I drove here, and both Mary and I had some drinks, so I can't drive back just yet. I'll have to wait until tomorrow morning when the alcohol wears off before we can leave.
Well, I guess it's the only choice then. I understand. Good morning, Mary. Can you use your smartphone? Yes, Laura. My aunt, who just arrived here, is going to help me input things for you, if that's okay. Oh, the one who cares about you the most out of all your relatives, right? Yes, that's her. Well, if that's the case, I don't mind at all. In fact, this is because of my foolish son, so it's good for someone who's helping you to know the situation. Then, if you don't mind, I'll take advantage of your kindness and proceed. First, thank you for preparing a temporary smartphone for me. As I mentioned yesterday, my own smartphone was taken away by Bailey. It's been a huge help. It's nothing. It's a prepaid phone, so it might be a bit inconvenient, but it's better than not having one at all. Yes, thank you very much. Now, please allow me to report the situation so far. Go ahead. First of all, as you suspected, my foolish son seems to have gone on a trip to the hot spring with Bailey. When I explained the situation here, he tried to cover it up by saying Mary was with me and it was Bailey who ended up in the hospital. I see, so that's what happened. He even sent me a picture of the two of them taken at the inn. But even if it was just by chance, knowing how to tell the two of you apart made it backfire on him. By sending that picture, he basically proved himself that it was Bailey who was with him on the trip. I never expected that casual conversation would actually be useful. It really was just by chance, but the way I taught you to tell the two of us apart, I never mentioned it to Kiyoshi. I never thought that the two of them would actually have a chance to cross paths, so that's what happened, huh? Anyway, I've been getting a flood of messages from Kiyoshi just now. I need to deal with those for a moment. Thank you for your help.
Mom! This is bad!
What's wrong?
Bailey was taken away!
You've already made it back home, right?
Yes! When I got home, I found a middle-aged couple waiting at the front door. They yelled at Bailey and slapped her, then just took her away. What's going on?
Pete, don't you feel like what you're saying is a bit contradictory?
Contradictory?
Who was taken away by that couple waiting for you?
Bailey!
Who was it that went on the trip with you?
Sorry, I got flustered and mixed up the names. Oh, I can't believe I made a mistake with my wife's name. I need to calm down and think straight. It was Mary who was taken away.
Pete.
Hey, what am I supposed to do?
You need to realize that everything's already been figured out. Let me tell you something. I know how to tell Mary and Bailey apart.
What?
When you two had just gotten married, I happened to have the chance to learn it from Mary. She said it was something that Bailey herself probably didn't even realize. Not many people can tell the two apart using that method. She mentioned that.
What's this method? I just tell them apart by their hairstyles and clothing preferences. When we were on the trip, I had Mary wear a wig to match her usual hairstyle so no one would catch on.
You really think now is the right time to be telling me this?
But still...
I think by now you understand that the one rescued from the bathtub and hospitalized is Mary. Pete, it was Bailey who you took on the hot spring trip. No, the affair trip. Your relationship has been exposed, and the couple who took Bailey away were Mary and Bailey's parents.
What? Those people are their parents? Why? Why are their parents suddenly involved?
Recently, a company had been persistently offering us a deal, and when Mary realized that it was her father's company, she told me about it.
Wait, seriously?
At first, I didn't think it would be a reason to turn down the deal, but then the incident in the bathtub happened, and your affair with Bailey came to light.
This is really bad, huh?
So I suggested to Mary's father, even though this situation is personal, it's clear that it's a disadvantage for both of our companies. How about we settle it by having you two, who committed the infidelity, pay Mary a lump sum for the damages, and we agree to cut off all future business dealings between our companies.
And what happened after that?
The proper response will likely come soon. For now, the reply I received was, "We'll pick up Bailey right away." So they arranged to ambush you when you returned home.
I see. I thought sending the photo of the two of us together during the trip would make it hard to tell us apart since we're twins. But instead it ended up being the concrete proof that confirmed the affair.
Pete, you're disowned.
Huh?
Decide for yourself whether you stay at the company or not.
What? I have no choice but to stay. I'm supposed to be the next president, after all.
Huh? Did I ever say that?
But my mom is the president.
So?
My grandfather was the first president, my dad was the second, and my mom's the third. When Dad passed away, I was still a student, so I was supposed to take over when I was old enough, right?
What are you talking about? We're arranging for the current executive director to take over as president next year.
What? He's not even related to our family.
I'm just choosing someone who's fit to be the leader of the company. It's strange to cling to a hereditary system when thinking about the future of the company. And also, Mary is moving forward with the divorce, so you should prepare for that.
Are you serious?
Mary, how are you feeling? I'm doing okay. It looks like I'll be able to leave the hospital in a few days. The doctors say that I'll still need crutches for a little while, but I should be able to get back to work by next month. I'm looking forward to returning to my routine, even if it's going to take some time to fully recover. That's such a relief to hear, but I want to remind you not to push yourself too hard. You've been through a lot recently, dealing with the divorce, the hospitalization, and everything else on top of that. It's understandable if you're feeling both physically and mentally exhausted. Well, you're right about that. I am tired, and things have been overwhelming at times. But I think the best thing for me right now is to get back to my normal life as quickly as possible. There's something comforting about getting back into the rhythm of daily routines, you know. I completely understand. Sometimes getting back to normal is the best thing for your recovery. Thank you so much for your concern, though. It means a lot to me that you're thinking of me. Oh, and speaking of things, there's something I should probably mention to you. What is it? It seems your father has been removed from his position as company president. Wait, really? That's unexpected. Yeah, it turns out that the business deal with us was a huge opportunity for the company, a make-or-break mission that would determine their future. However, when the president's daughter messed things up, the people in the company started demanding that he be held accountable. The situation ended with your father being removed from his role as president. It's a bit of a mess right now. Oh, I see. That's quite the turn of events. Well, to be honest, I'd rejected that deal multiple times, even before all the chaos started. But I can imagine that your father was shocked. Yeah, I can only imagine. It must have been a huge shock for him, especially considering how things unfolded. He'd probably never anticipated that the daughter he's estranged from would be married to the son of the very company president they were negotiating with. And to top it off, that his youngest daughter would try to steal his wife's husband. It must have been a lot for him to process. Well, about that, it seems like my sister and Pete met by sheer coincidence. But as they spent more time together, Pete eventually revealed that he was the son of the company president and that his wife was my twin sister. At some point, my sister realized who he was and, knowing what had been going on, decided to invite Pete to join her. The misunderstanding where Pete was thought to be the next president was simply an error in judgment on their part. It wasn't intentional. And that's not just Pete's fault either. Honestly, where did we go wrong with how he was raised? I feel like I've caused you nothing but trouble, and I'm sorry. It's all been a mess, and I regret it. No, you don't have to apologize. It's not your fault. My family has caused you trouble, and I want to apologize for that. I know it hasn't been easy on you either. You know what? Once you're out of the hospital, how about we go out for a meal together? It doesn't matter that we're no longer mother-in-law and daughter-in-law, but the relationship we've built in the company is still important. I really don't want things to be awkward or tense between us. You're someone I've come to rely on, and I don't want to let anything damage that. Thank you. That really makes me happy to hear. I'm relieved that you're still willing to work together despite everything. I've always appreciated your support, and I look forward to continuing our professional relationship. Of course, and I'm sure we'll both be able to keep our personal and professional lives separate without letting anything interfere. I've always trusted you, and I hope we can move forward without any more complications. Yes, I agree. It's important for both of us to keep things civil and professional. I really appreciate that you're still willing to have this conversation despite everything that's happened. Absolutely. Life can throw so many unexpected challenges at us, but it's how we handle them that matters in the end. I'm glad we're able to speak so honestly about everything, and I'm confident we'll both come out of this stronger. I completely agree. I've learned a lot from this experience, and I know we both want what's best for the future. Let's continue to support each other moving forward. I'm glad we see eye to eye on this. Thank you for being understanding and willing to put everything behind us. I'm sure things will work out for the best. You're welcome. Let's move forward with positivity and focus on the future. I'm looking forward to continuing our work together. Likewise, thank you again for your understanding and for taking the time to speak with me. I really appreciate everything. Well, of course, it's the least I can do. Let's keep working together and make sure that everything gets back on track. Bailey's situation was difficult. After her parents' divorce, the entire family was torn apart, and she found herself having to fend for herself. It was a challenging time for her, as the separation had left a deep mark on everyone involved. The emotional toll was immense, and without any other option, she had to face the harsh reality of being alone. In order to survive, she had to look for ways to secure her living arrangements. The options available to her, however, were far from ideal. She sought out married men, hoping to find some form of financial stability, something that could get her through each day. Her decisions, however, didn't come without consequences. As it often happens in such situations, her actions led to yet another messy scandal, with accusations of misconduct and requests for compensation. It seemed as though each time she tried to secure a way of life, it only led to more problems and legal entanglements. Now she found herself in a position where she had to rely on a job that required her to put her body to use in order to make ends meet. It wasn't a situation she had envisioned for herself, but it was the reality she faced. Each day she had to make tough choices to ensure she could pay her bills and maintain a roof over her head. The cycle of seeking financial support from others only to face humiliation and new challenges was something she had become all too familiar with, yet, despite it all, Bailey kept pushing forward, finding a way to survive each day. Then there was my son, Pete. Unlike Bailey, Pete didn't have debts, but he wasn't in a much better position. While he was debt-free, he also lacked the savings necessary to provide for himself with any security. His life, therefore, was a constant struggle, living paycheck to paycheck. He found himself struggling to make ends meet every single day. It wasn't just about making ends meet. It was about living with the constant stress of not knowing if tomorrow would bring more hardship. He had no financial cushion to fall back on, no savings account to dip into when things got tight. In many ways, Pete's life was a reflection of the uncertainty that had plagued him. He had hoped for a better future, but without the necessary resources or stability, his dreams often felt just out of reach. One of the biggest challenges Pete faced was his lack of special skill or ability that would set him apart from the competition. He didn't have a unique talent or qualification that could guarantee him a good job, something that could elevate him above the rest. Instead, Pete found himself in a job market that was increasingly competitive, with fewer opportunities available for people without specific skills or experience. Despite his best efforts, he wasn't able to land a decent job. He aimed high, hoping to find something that would allow him to live a more comfortable life. But his expectations often exceeded what he was qualified for. His high hopes and ambition weren't enough to overcome the lack of practical experience or a clear career path. Each failed job application and each missed opportunity added to the frustration, making him feel more lost and disconnected from the success he had once envisioned. Now Pete's life had come down to day labor. It wasn't glamorous, and it certainly wasn't the dream he had for himself, but it was the reality he had to face. Every day he worked hard, barely making enough to survive. The hours were long, the work was physically demanding, and the pay was minimal. Yet it was the one thing that kept him afloat. With each passing day, he pushed himself to keep going, to find a way to keep surviving. The stress of living paycheck to paycheck was unrelenting. It seemed as though no matter how hard he worked, there was always something that drained him. Whether it was the rising cost of living, the uncertainty of his future, or the constant pressure to do more with less. The struggles of both Bailey and Pete were a reminder of how quickly life could spiral out of control. What seemed like a simple issue, whether it was a bad decision, a missed opportunity, or an inability to plan for the future, could quickly lead to a chain of events that altered the course of someone's life. For Bailey, it was a series of poor choices that left her in a precarious situation, relying on relationships with married men and eventually ending up in a job she never imagined. For Pete, it was the failure to develop marketable skills and the inability to find stable employment that left him living paycheck to paycheck, always struggling to stay afloat. The weight of their struggles was overwhelming, and it seemed as though there was no easy way out. While I dealt with my own difficulties, I watched my children struggle, each in their own way, and it left me feeling conflicted. On one hand, I understood the pressures they faced and sympathized with their struggles. On the other hand, I couldn't help but feel frustration, knowing that they were not doing enough to change their situations. The choices they made led them down difficult paths, and now they were facing the consequences. It was hard to watch, especially knowing that there was only so much I could do to help. Eventually, after a period of constant turmoil, things began to settle down. The family drama and the financial struggles seemed to have calmed, and there was a brief sense of peace. It was at this point that I made the decision to step down from my role as president of the company. I had been in charge for so long, and the responsibility had taken a toll on me. It was time for me to let go, to allow someone else to take over the reins and steer the company in a new direction. I chose to pass on the position to the executive director, someone I trusted to guide the company into the future. With the leadership transition complete, my focus shifted. I decided to focus on expanding our operations internationally, particularly in China, where we had an opportunity to establish a new base. This was a critical time for the company, and I knew that it was important for us to establish a strong presence in the Chinese market. To help me with this, I brought on Mary, who had made a remarkable recovery from her previous issues, as my assistant. Mary was a loyal and capable individual, and I knew that she would be invaluable in helping me navigate this new venture. Together, we headed to China, where we would face the challenges of establishing a new business presence in a foreign market. The road ahead was not easy, and there would be many obstacles to overcome, but it was an exciting time, a new beginning, a fresh start, and a chance to make a lasting impact. As I reflected on the journey that had brought me to this point, I couldn't help but feel a sense of anticipation for what was to come. I had faced my own struggles and had watched my children face theirs. But now it was time to focus on the future, on new opportunities, and on building something that would make a difference. In many ways, this new chapter felt like a chance for redemption. It was a chance to rebuild, to create something meaningful, and to find success in a new environment. With Mary by my side and a renewed sense of purpose, I was ready to take on the challenges ahead. I knew it wouldn't be easy, but I was determined to make it work. After everything that had happened, I was ready to embrace the new opportunities that lay before me, knowing that this was my chance to make a fresh start.
Thank you for watching. Please subscribe and hit the like button. See you next time.
Keith, can I ask you something? Why are Bailey and her 5 kids running wild in our guest room?
Oh, Heather, what's wrong? Didn't I tell you? When I mentioned that our honeymoon would be at a luxury hotel in Jamaica with a suite, Bailey's kids got really excited and insisted on coming along. And of course that means Bailey had to come too. So I booked them an additional room at the same hotel.
That is not what I'm asking about. My question is why your childhood friend and her 5 kids have joined us on our honeymoon, a trip that's supposed to be just the 2 of us.
Oh, that! They wanted to come along, so I thought, why not? I figured it'd be fun for them. Right now, they're having a bit of fun in our room just for the experience of seeing a suite. But don't worry, they're not actually staying in our room. They'll be in a separate one, so relax.
Excuse me, what?
Hey, come on, even though Bailey's my childhood friend, she knows not to interrupt our honeymoon nights together. I mean, Bailey's considerate like that, you know?
If she were truly considerate, she wouldn't have tagged along on our honeymoon in the first place, especially bringing 5 poorly behaved kids along with her. This is beyond inconsiderate.
Whoa, poorly behaved? That's a bit harsh, don't you think?
Harsh? Just look around. The bed, which was neatly made, is now a disaster. The flowers on the vase are all over the floor, and there's water spilled everywhere. Not to mention, they raided the minibar, with juice and snacks all eaten up and wrappers scattered around. The mess is so bad we'll have to call housekeeping to clean it up. I can only imagine what the hotel staff will think when they see this chaos. It's downright embarrassing.
They're kids, Heather. You can't expect them to be perfect. Cut them a little slack.
Cut them slack? Leaving this mess is just irresponsible, and you know the hotel won't just turn a blind eye to it. Someone needs to teach them what's unacceptable behavior, and I'm pretty sure that big wine stain on the carpet is from Bailey herself. This isn't just about being considerate. This is definitely going to get us a warning from the hotel.
Oh, come on, it's our honeymoon. Relax a little and don't stress over every detail. Having my childhood friend and her 5 kids along for the trip makes things lovely, don't you think?
Keith, let me ask you something. Are you deliberately trying to make me angry?
What? Why would you think that?
I see now. You genuinely haven't thought this through, haven't you?
Oh, speaking of which, since Bailey has 5 kids, you can imagine the cost of travel is high for her. She's been wanting to take a break from parenting and have a chance to unwind, so I told her that we'd cover the costs and help with looking after the kids. You don't mind helping out, right? It's good practice.
Excuse me? What are you expecting me to do here?
Think of it as a chance to practice looking after kids, you know, for the future.
What? You're actually expecting me to spend our honeymoon practicing by taking care of someone else's children. Have you completely lost your mind?
Hey, Bailey isn't just someone else. She's my childhood friend. She's practically family.
Well, to me, she's just another person and a stranger at that.
If you really hate looking after the kids, you can always go home, you know. Just kidding, just kidding. Hey, come on, this is Jamaica. Let's just make the best of it and have a great time all together. Hey, Heather, where'd you go? You know, the dinner reservation time has already passed, so, well, it would have been a waste to just cancel it, right? I ended up having the meal with Bailey instead. Hope you don't mind. Just kidding, kind of. But seriously, it almost feels like Bailey and I are on a honeymoon of our own. Isn't that funny? Come on, Heather, where'd you run off to? Hurry up and get back here. You know Bailey's kids are still here and they need someone to keep an eye on them. You don't really have much time to relax, do you? Hey, Heather, are you serious? Get back here already! Bailey's 5 kids who you're supposed to be helping with are completely out of control! At this rate, neither Bailey nor I can enjoy this honeymoon trip.
Oh, so now it's practically you and Bailey's honeymoon, is it?
What? No, of course not, but it's your fault this is happening. You're the one being stubborn and refusing to come back. And Bailey? She's just being a good friend by keeping me company since my wife decided to disappear on our honeymoon.
Let me get this straight. You're blaming me for not wanting to put up with a honeymoon that includes someone else's kid. A friend you invited along without even asking me. The fact that you and Bailey are enjoying yourselves without questioning how strange this all is, that's just mind-boggling to me.
Listen, just come back, okay? Bailey's kids are, honestly, a handful, and it's too much for us to manage on our own.
Actually, I've already gone home.
Wait, what? Are you serious?
You really haven't noticed that my suitcase wasn't in the room.
What? Are you kidding me right now? So you're actually back home already?
Yeah. Last night, I stayed at a 24-hour fast food joint and took the first available flight home this morning.
Are you out of your mind? What were you even thinking?
What do you mean?
I mean the payment! Bailey's room and her 5 kids' rooms were all part of the bill! I covered the whole amount up front, figuring you'd pitch in later to pay me back. Right now my wallet's totally empty. And obviously I expected you to cover any additional expenses at checkout. I don't even have spending money left for myself.
So you just assumed that I'd be covering all of that? Look, for one, you never even told me Bailey and her kids would be joining us. And on top of that, my budget is nowhere near big enough to fund this whole fiasco. That hotel charges a minimum of $300 per night. Sure, kids cost less than adults, and the cost per person might go down if they're all in the same room. But still, you can't seriously think I'd pay Bailey and her kids' travel expenses for absolutely no fucking reason.
That's what I thought you'd cover as a thank you for the parenting practice you'd get with Bailey's kids.
I never asked to practice parenting in the first place.
What, don't you want kids of our own?
Excuse me?
Think of this as a dry run, you know, a practice session for when we have our own. It's a good chance for you.
Are you seriously bringing this up now?
Well, you're gonna have kids one way or another, aren't you?
Whether or not that's true, it's still absurd to practice parenting by looking after someone else's children without any preparation. Does that really sound normal to you?
What's wrong with that?
Let me spell it out. Expecting someone who has no real experience in child rearing to practice on actual kids is like treating them as some kind of experiment.
Wait, what?
Think about it. Don't you know why childcare is a profession that requires certification and training? It's because people with no knowledge or experience shouldn't just jump in and practice on real children. Just because we're not hiring a certified caretaker doesn't mean it's okay to impose this on someone who isn't prepared.
Wait, really? It's like that?
Yes, and while some parents might dump their kids on others without a second thought, that doesn't make it okay. If Bailey is that kind of mother, then I suppose this whole situation starts to make sense.
Heather! Hey, about the money, can you send it over quickly?
What?
Didn't I tell you my wallet's completely empty? I was just about to check out of the hotel thinking I'd finally head home, but then they hit me with all these additional charges for other services. When I asked for a breakdown, they explained that Bailey's been going wild with all sorts of hotel services, spa treatments, room service, everything, and somehow it's all being billed to me. I don't know why I'm on the hook for Bailey's expenses when I thought you'd be covering what she spent on this trip. So yeah, please, I need money.
Keith, I've been thinking about this for a while, but don't you think you're a little too comfortable relying on someone else's wallet?
What? We're married. Isn't that totally normal?
It is absolutely not normal for you to expect me to cover expenses for Bailey and her kids.
Can we not get into whose wallet should cover what right now? This isn't about that. The fact is, I can't check out of the hotel as things stand, and I desperately need money right now. Please, just send it over already.
Why don't you just withdraw some from your own account or use your credit card?
I didn't bring those with me.
What?
I swear, I thought I had brought everything. I was so sure I'd packed my card holder. You know, the one with all my cards, including my credit and debit cards. I could have sworn I put it in my travel bag, but then when I looked, it wasn't there.
Oh, this?
What?
I thought this might be what happened. So I checked around your dresser, and sure enough, I found it on the floor.
No way. Seriously? Come on, Heather, please, just send me some money. I'm really stuck here.
If you mean a bank transfer, that's impossible without your bank card, right? And since I have it here with me, that's a no-go.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Either way, I don't have any intention of sending you money for this.
This really is a dead end.
Well, if you think that's a dead end, you're about to hit an even bigger problem.
What? What do you mean?
I got a message from Bailey's husband.
Huh? Bailey's husband?
Yeah, apparently, he reached out to my contact info through your mom. He wanted to ask why they were suddenly 2 more kids. He left 3 behind when he went overseas. And now, 4 years later, after being unable to come back even once, he finds out there are 5.
Wait, he's back in the country?
Yeah, from what I heard, he made an emergency return. He heard something suspicious from a mutual acquaintance.
Wait, emergency? You don't mean...
Yep, he wants to discuss why 2 extra kids popped up out of nowhere in his absence, and he asked me to meet him with my parents for a little talk.
Oh, hey, wait!
And after that, I'll be heading straight to my parents' house. Consider me gone.
Damn it! Now I've had to ask my parents to send me cash in an envelope just to get home! And then, as soon as I managed to make it back, I got scolded hard for taking Bailey and her kids on our honeymoon!
Are you still planning to lie about this?
What?
So, here's what I think happened. You planned to secretly bring Bailey on our honeymoon, right? But then unexpectedly, she showed up with 5 kids in tow. And while you thought you could just take her around Jamaica without me finding out, the whole thing took a turn when Bailey found out we were staying in a luxury suite. She didn't like that and you only booked her a cheap room, so she decided it wasn't fair and stormed into our suite, with all her kids in tow. And when she barged in, surprise, surprise, I was there by myself and your little affair was exposed on the spot. After that, I guess you figured you might as well just dig in and act oblivious like, why can't I bring my childhood friend on our honeymoon? Pretty shameless, right?
How do you know all that in such detail?
Bailey's husband hired a private investigator. I pieced it all together from the investigator's report and what I personally witnessed that day. And judging from the look on your face, it sounds like I hit the nail on the head, didn't I?
Seriously?
Oh, and by the way, they're moving forward with DNA tests for Bailey's children, I hear?
Yeah?
And you've been asked to submit your own sample for the test too, haven't you?
Yeah?
I think we both know what at least some of those results are going to reveal. But either way, we're still moving forward with the divorce, so there's no going back for us. An attorney will be in touch soon to discuss the details. They'll handle things from here.
Heather, wait!
From now on, just go through with my lawyer if you need anything.
No, hold on, just let me...
I really don't have time for this, Keith. Goodbye.
Heather!
To begin with the conclusion of the DNA paternity test, it has been confirmed that, indeed, of the 5 children, the 2 younger ones are Keith's biological children. Keith and Bailey, despite having no romantic feelings for each other, have found themselves entangled in the web of circumstances that have led to this unexpected outcome. Over time, they have developed a relationship that, while not based on love, has included moments that might be easily be misconstrued as such. Even while both we were engaged in other relationships, their interactions with one another had certain intimacy that was difficult to define. They have gone through periods of time where they maintained romantic relationships with others' partners. Yet, they also have a repeated pattern of behavior that could easily be labeled as crossing boundaries. The recent results of the DNA test have forced both of them to confront the reality of their relationship, something they may have previously brushed aside as mere friendship. As a result of this startling revelation, it appears that Keith and Bailey feel compelled to marry, not out of love or passion, but out of the necessity and the overwhelming sense of duty they feel towards their children. This decision to enter into a marriage is not taken lightly. It comes with the understanding that they must now face the consequences of their past actions together. The idea of marrying someone with whom they do not share a romantic connection is foreign to many, yet in this case, it is a practical solution to a complicated problem. However, the financial ramifications of their union are significant and daunting. They are already facing a barrage of claims for damages and child support from various parties, including past partners and family members. These financial demands have placed an enormous burden on them as they struggle to navigate their new reality. It is clear that the weight of these responsibilities is pushing them towards a life of severe financial hardship, as the costs associated with raising their children and managing their obligations seem overwhelming. Prospect of living under such a financial strain is not only stressful but also demoralizing. They've found themselves in a situation where their very choices they made, choices that they thought would lead to freedom and happiness, have resulted in a life that can only be described as impoverished. The ramifications of their actions are hitting hard, and it is evident that the financial burden of their choices is something that they cannot easily escape, in addition to their own challenges. The situation regarding the children is equally complex. It seems that their respective grandparents have taken the initiative to discuss custody arrangements among themselves. These discussions are crucial, as they ultimately decided which children will be taken in by set of grandparents. This kind of arrangement is often fraught with its own set of complications, but it is necessary for the children's well-being. It is hoped that these grandparents will provide a stable environment that prioritizes the needs of the children during such a tumultuous time. The well-being of the children is a paramount concern, and there is a collective hope that they will not become entangled in the difficult lives of their parents that they are leading. The reality is that they could easily become casualties of their parents' mistake, facing challenges that no child should have to endure. It is a significant concern that they might be negatively affected by the dysfunctional relationship between Keith and Bailey, as well as the financial turmoil that ensues from it. The hope is that the grandparents can serve as stabilizing figures who can protect the children from the fallout of their parents' decision. When one reflects on the complexities of Keith and Bailey's relationship, it becomes evident that what started as a simple friendship has evolved into something far more intricate. Their connection, which lacks the romantic foundation typically associated with marriage, has been shaped by love, betrayal, and the responsibilities of parenthood. They might not have been intended to create a family under these circumstances, but the reality of their situation is undeniable and now has to be faced head-on. Moreover, the societal implications of their relationship are significant. In a world where traditional family structures are often idealized, Keith and Bailey's situation invites judgment and scrutiny. Many will view their decisions through a lens of moral righteousness, harshly critiquing their choices and the implications of their actions. They have inadvertently become representatives of a modern dilemma faced by many young couples: how to navigate relationships, responsibilities, and societal expectations without falling prey to the judgment of others. The financial strain that Keith and Bailey are under cannot be overstated. Many young couples find themselves caught in a web of financial difficulties, especially when they are unexpectedly thrust into parenthood. The obligations that come with raising children are often daunting and can feel insurmountable, particularly when the parents are unprepared for the reality of their responsibilities. As they prepare for their marriage, they must also come to terms with the reality of their financial situation. The notion of marriage, while traditionally viewed as a union of love, is for them now more about survival and stability. They are entering into this new chapter of their lives with the understanding that they must work together to overcome their challenges ahead. This does not mean that love cannot develop between them over time, but the initial motivation for their union is clearly rooted in practicality rather than romance. Meanwhile, the children, who are the true innocents in this situation, will have to navigate the complexities of their family dynamics. Growing up to be in a divided household can have lasting effects on children, shaping their perceptions of love, relationships, and family dynamics in ways that are often difficult to quantify. It is essential for the grandparents and other family members create a nurturing environment where the children can feel secure and supported amidst the chaos. It is crucial to recognize that the children will likely experience a range of emotions that they process their parents' relationship and the resulting changes in their lives. They may feel confusion, sadness, and even anger as they come to terms with the reality of their family situation. Providing them with emotional support and reassurance will be vital in helping them adjust to the new circumstances. The involvement of the grandparents is a positive step toward providing stability for the children. With the loving and supportive figures in their lives, the hope is that the children will be shielded from the negative impact of their parents' choices. It is a difficult journey for everyone involved, and the path forward will require careful navigation. In the end, the hope is that this situation serves as a cautionary tale for others who might find themselves in similar predicaments. Relationships can be incredibly complicated, and the decisions made in moments of passion or confusion can have far-reaching consequences that last a lifetime. Keith and Bailey's story is a reminder that it is essential to approach relationships with caution, to consider the potential outcomes, and to think critically about the responsibilities that come with love and companionship. Thank you for watching and listening. We hope you enjoyed the video. Don't forget to like this video and subscribe. Also, feel free to leave a comment about what you thought of the story. We look forward in seeing you in the next one.
Thank you for watching. Please subscribe and hit the like button. See you next time.